Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning and praise the Lord. Welcome, welcome back to another Good Morning Grief Devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. We are so excited to have this wonderful opportunity to come to you today to lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural, normal, and necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. And that's why we shout good morning, because mourning is a good thing. And I'm so glad that you're with us on today as we lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. Today, my brothers and sisters, is day 349. This message is right on time. We're going to talk about there's nothing wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with me. I need you to put that in the chat. I need you to understand that. I need you to get it in your heart, your mind, and in your spirit that there is nothing wrong with me. Let's talk about it. Grief is normal and necessary. I like to say it's natural, it's normal, and it's necessary, right? Grief is natural, it's normal, and it's necessary. I'm going to say that again. I need you to understand this. I need you to get it in your heart. When it comes to grief, it's three things, y'all. It's natural. Come on. It's normal, and it is necessary. I'm going to have to do a breakdown on all three of those one day and just do a deep dive into all of those three. But it's natural, it's normal, and it's necessary. When I'm grieving, guess what? Ain't nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. What a thought-provoking realization that we will feel like, oh, something wrong with them. What's wrong? 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 They crying to get what's wrong. They going, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Well, if it's natural, if it's normal, and if it's necessary, how could it be wrong? How could me expressing outwardly what I'm feeling inwardly, how could what I feel be wrong? How could me expressing outwardly what I feel inwardly be wrong? If it's natural and if it's normal and it's necessary, how could it be wrong? If the circumstances of my loss were particularly challenging, my grief may be complicated, but still there's nothing wrong with me. Now, there is some complicated grief. You start talking about the circumstances of the loss, the change, the transition. When you start talking about, how complicated it is, the circumstances around it, your grief may be complicated, but even in that, right, there is nothing wrong with you. And I really want you to hear what I'm saying, because you might be saying, hey, it's all wrong. Everything is wrong. No, this is what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you in understanding that when it comes to grief, right? When it comes to grief, grief is natural, it's normal, and it's necessary. And as you feel and as you reveal, you got to understand it's not wrong. Is right as right can right, right? That you got a right, a reason, a right, and a responsibility to feel what you feel. And if it's pain, if it's anger, whatever it is, right? You got to know and understand there's nothing wrong with you. Check this out. If love is not a disease, which of course it is not, then grief is not a disease either. Yeah, I'm really reevaluating how we see grief. A lot of people, a lot of people see it as the enemy. A lot of people talks about how it sucks. A lot of people talks about how terrible it is, how awful it is. And this is the thing, how grief is not a disease. I tell you this all the time. Is there to help you to process what's going on, right? Is there to help you to process. Is there to help you to digest. When the word picture that I just got of that, I just started thinking about your intestines, right? And how you eat. When you eat food, right? Your mouth, your teeth, your throat to swallow it, all of that, your esophagus, all of that. But it enters into your intestines, and your intestines does what? It helps you to process the food that you've eaten. That it breaks it down, it gets the nutrients, it sends out the waste, it does all of this stuff. It goes to your large and small intestines, and it goes, is wrapped all the way around and everything, and it sends everything to its destination. Is there to help you to process. It's there to help you to process the food that you have eaten. Sometimes you overeat, and sometimes your stomach may hurt, and sometimes you go through this, that, and the other, right? Sometimes you just all of this stuff that comes along with it. But at the end of the day, it's there to help you to process. And if you can understand that about food, I don't know if it's a good analogy or not, but I need you to understand this about grief. That grief is there to help you to process, is there to help you to help move things along, your feelings, your thoughts, how you feeling, how you navigating through the loss, the change, and the transition. Is there to help you to process your feelings, to process the anger, to process whatever it is that you feeling, the love, the joy, the sorrow, the sadness, the bitterness, whatever the case may be, is there to help you to process, right? You process on a continual basis. And so you got to understand that grief and how you feel is not wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with you, and it's not wrong. If love is not a disease, grief is not a disease, and is there to help you to process. I'm simply experiencing the thoughts and feelings that arise naturally after a significant loss. And that's all you are. That's all you're doing. You are feeling, you are experiencing the thoughts and the feelings that naturally arise after a loss, change, and transition. And what I need you to do, don't ignore them, explore them. Don't suppress them, express them. You got to know and understand they're natural, they're normal, and they're necessary. There is so much liberty and freedom. There is so much healing in what we feel and how we reveal what we feel if we would take the time to do just that, right? So many of us, if we didn't suppress and express, if we didn't ignore and explored, there is so much, right? There is so much there so much ground we can make on our grief journey, right? Giving ourselves the permission to do all of that. Here's the final thought. I want y'all to check this out. I love it. My capacity to love requires the necessity to mourn. Ooh, that is so good. My capacity to love, it requires the necessity to mourn. Understand this, y'all. Your capacity to love, right? The capacity to love. I got the capacity. I want to love. It requires the necessity to mourn, right? This is so good. We say all the time that the cost of love is mourning, right? That if we're going to have the opportunity to love, it comes with the cost of mourning. And your capacity to love, it comes with the necessity to mourn. And if you don't want to mourn, don't love, right? If you don't want to mourn, don't love. That means all those minutes, moments, and memories. Cut that off. All that laughter and love and all, now cut that off, right? all, all of the friends, the families, the food, the fun, the fellowship. Nah, cut all of that off, right? We gonna cut all of that. If we don't have if we're gonna have the capacity to love, then we have to have the necessity to mourn, right? They go hand in hand. You got to know and understand when you mourn, when you grieve, it's natural, it's normal, it's necessary. And as day 349 lets us know right on time, there's nothing wrong with you. Beloved, mm-mm, mm-mm, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm not saying that to say ain't nothing wrong with you. What I'm saying is when it comes to grief and when it comes to mourning, a lot of people they get to the place, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Mm-mm. It's not what you're doing, what you're feeling, what you're going through is natural. Yes, it is. It's normal. Yes, it is. And it is necessary. Hope and pray this lesson was a blessing to each and every one of you. I'm praying for you as you continue to navigate through your grief journey, especially during this holiday season. I appreciate y'all tapping in every single day and being a part of our Good Morning Grief devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen. I can see I love y'all with the love of the Lord. Look, I'm going to check with y'all tomorrow, same time, same place. We're going to be right back here in this same place. And remember, there's nothing wrong with you. Let's go.